They say summer is for beginnings, sunlight, freedom, love that feels like it could last forever. But not every summer ends with fireworks. Some end in silence. Some end with a few words that echo louder than a storm. That's how this one ended, for Jeremiah and Conrad. Jeremiah had been quiet all morning. Not the kind of quiet that disappears after coffee, but the kind that grows heavier with every breath. Conrad didn't notice it at first. He was still talking like everything was normal, like the wedding hadn't fallen apart, like Belly hadn't walked away from both of them. The beach house felt different now. Empty, even though it was full of memories. There were still sand-filled shoes by the door, and Belly's dress hanging in the closet like it was waiting for a second chance. But second chances were in short supply this summer. Jeremiah stood by the window, watching the tide pull back. The way the waves left without asking, like they had somewhere more important to be. That's how he felt too, left behind, again. You know she's not coming back, he said, without turning around. Conrad looked up from the kitchen table, confused. After Conrad left, the house didn't feel bigger. It felt smaller, tighter, like the walls were closing in. Jeremiah didn't touch the chair where Conrad used to sit. He didn't touch the mug Conrad left on the counter. He didn't clean the room, or open the blinds, or try to forget. Because forgetting wasn't an option. The silence wasn't just about what was gone. It was about everything that had been left behind. He sat on the back steps of the house, watching the sun melt into the ocean. That was the thing about sunsets, they look beautiful, but they always mean something's ending. Jeremiah hated that. He hated endings. The neighbors across the beach were laughing, cooking something on the grill. Someone was playing music, something old and slow, and for a second, Jeremiah remembered what last summer felt like. Before the wedding. Before the disaster. Before Belly kissed him and made him believe that maybe, just maybe, he could have a forever too. But forever never came. And now Conrad was gone. The one person who had always been there, even when it hurt to look at him. It wasn't just about Belly. That's what everyone always thought. But this went deeper. Years deeper. Growing up in the same house, sharing the same mother, the same grief. One always trying to be the protector, the other always stuck in his shadow. People saw them and thought they were inseparable. But Jeremiah knew better. He knew they were bound together by things they never asked for. And maybe that's why it hurt so much to push him away. He thought about texting him, just one line. Where did you go? Or maybe are you okay? But he didn't. Because if Conrad answered, he'd come back. And if he came back, the wound would open again. It was better this way. At least, that's what Jeremiah kept telling himself. The next morning, he walked into the kitchen, expecting it to feel less heavy. It didn't. He grabbed coffee, took it black. It tasted like guilt. The phone buzzed on the counter. A message. Not from Conrad. Not from Belly. It was from their dad. We should talk. Heard about the wedding. Call me. Jeremiah stared at the screen. He hadn't spoken to their father in weeks. Maybe months. After the funeral, things had just unraveled. The way families do when one person holds everyone together and then suddenly disappears. Susanna had been the glue. Without her, they were all just pieces that didn't fit anymore. He didn't call. Instead, he walked upstairs to Conrad's room and opened the door. It still smelled like him, like sea salt and old books and something unspoken. The bed was made, too neat. There were still sticky notes on the wall. Study plans. College deadlines. Things that used to matter. Jeremiah walked to the desk and found a photo, an old one. Him, Conrad, Belly. Summer of 19. Smiling like nothing could touch them. He almost smiled. Almost. But then his eyes landed on a note tucked under the lamp. Not folded, not hidden. Just there. He picked it up. I know I ruined everything. I'm sorry for loving her. But I never wanted to hurt you. I just didn't know how to stop. No name. No date. But Jeremiah didn't need either. The handwriting said it all. His throat tightened. This wasn't just a goodbye. It was a confession. For a second, he wanted to tear it up. Burn it. Pretend he never saw it. But instead, he slipped it into his pocket, walked back downstairs, and stood in the doorway of the house, staring out at the sand. The summer wasn't over yet. But it felt like it was. Jeremiah didn't sleep much after that. Some nights, he'd fall asleep on the couch, fully dressed, the TV flickering with some old movie no one cared about. Other nights, he'd lie awake, the note still folded in his pocket, like some kind of ghost pressing against his skin. He hadn't told anyone about the note. Not even Stephen. Not even Belly. Especially not Belly. Because knowing Conrad had left that message behind made everything worse. It wasn't just a rivalry anymore. It wasn't just two brothers chasing the same girl. It was guilt. Heavy. Sticky. Like it was dripping down the walls of the beach house, reminding Jeremiah of the moment everything snapped. And maybe he'd wanted it too. That was the part that kept him up at night. Because deep down, when Belly hesitated at the altar, when her voice cracked and she looked out at the crowd with that terrified look, Jeremiah had hoped. Hoped she would walk away. Hoped she would change her mind. And she did. She chose neither of them. But somehow, Jeremiah still felt like he'd won something. And that made him feel sick. One morning, a car pulled into the driveway. He expected it to be Laurel, maybe Stephen, someone checking in to see if he was eating, sleeping, still standing. But it wasn't. It was Taylor. She didn't knock. She just walked in like she always had, in flip-flops and sunglasses, holding a smoothie in judgment. "You look like hell," she said, tossing her bag on the counter. "Thanks," Jeremiah muttered. "You gonna call him?" "No." "You should." He shook his head. "He left." "You told him to." "I didn't think he'd actually go." Taylor rolled her eyes. "You broke your brother's heart. And you think you're the only one hurting?" Jeremiah didn't answer. He didn't need to. She already knew. She sat across from him at the table, the same one where they used to do puzzles with Susanna, the same one where Belly had said yes to the dress, and where Conrad had once tried to make pancakes and almost burned the house down. This house wasn't just a place. It was a memory trap. "You haven't seen her, have you?" Taylor asked. "No. She's not okay either." Jeremiah looked up. "She's the one who left. She left because she couldn't choose between the two people she loves the most. That's not running away. That's drowning." Jeremiah didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to feel sympathy for Belly, or Conrad, or even himself. He just wanted it all to stop. But Taylor kept going. "Conrad's in pieces, Jeremiah. He's crashing with friends, but he barely talks. You think you're the only one who lost something? You think this is all just about what Belly did or didn't say? No. This is about what you said. You told him to go. You pushed him out of your life. And now what? Now what?" The words echoed. Jeremiah stood up, pacing the room like it would help. "I didn't know what else to do. I needed space. I needed to breathe." "And now?" Taylor asked. Now he didn't know. He walked outside, barefoot, the deck still warm from the morning sun. He looked out at the water, the same place where they used to swim, race, laugh. The same place Conrad had taught him how to dive. The same place Belly had kissed him, and it all started to unravel. He closed his eyes. Maybe he could fix it. Maybe not everything was broken beyond repair. But maybe that wasn't the point anymore. Maybe it was about facing what he ran from. He pulled out his phone. The screen was blank. No missed calls. No messages. No Conrad. But he typed anyway. I read your note. I shouldn't have said what I did. I didn't mean it like that. I just needed space. You should come back. Or at least talk to me. Please. He stared at the words for a long time. Then he deleted them. Because some things couldn't be unsaid. Night felt like it had something to hide. Jeremiah sat on the porch, hoodie pulled over his head, knees up to his chest. The air was cool, but the kind of cool that didn't bite, it just settled on your skin, like memories you couldn't shake off. Crickets chirped in the bushes. The waves crashed in the distance. The house behind him was quiet, but inside his chest, everything was loud. That text he didn't send still haunted him. What was he supposed to say? Sorry I told you to leave? Sorry I meant it? Sorry I meant it and still do, but also don't? None of it felt right. None of it would change the fact that when it all came down to it, he couldn't share her. Not again. He hadn't heard from Belly either. She'd left town quietly. No drama. No speeches. No long goodbye. Just packed her things, looked him in the eyes, and said, I need to figure out who I am without you. Without both of you. And then she was gone. Jeremiah never said it out loud, but a part of him had always known he was her second choice. Not in the way she treated him, but in the way she looked at Conrad when she thought no one else was watching. That look, the soft, faraway one, Jeremiah had seen it too many times to pretend it wasn't real. Still, for a while, he made himself believe he could change that. That love could be earned. That being there, being loyal, being safe, would be enough. But it never was. The sound of tires crunching gravel broke the stillness. A car. Not fast. Not loud. Just cautious. It pulled into the driveway, lights dim, engine idling for a moment before cutting off. Jeremiah didn't move. He just listened. The door opened.